L'été dernier, j'ai créé une routine qui m'a permis de parler couramment le français.
So I've been wanting to learn French for a number of years now, and despite having studied it, quotation marks, over a 5-year period at secondary school, which was about 20 years ago now, I could not construct a sentence together. Firstly, before we even start, I just want to let you know that I have a life, I'm a mother, I have a job, and I have other commitments, and I did not have 8 hours a day, every single day for 30 days to dedicate to learning French. I wanted to be able to understand most of what I was hearing, and for me to be able to articulate even if the grammar was off and I was speaking broken French. Okay, so before I get into it, let's just look at how many hours I spent on this whole project. It was a total of 96 hours over the 30 days, plus or minus 20, because I wasn't really counting and keeping an eye on the time every single day. And by the end of this video, I want to have answered 2 questions for you. One is, what was the best and worst use of my time? And 2, how many of those 96 hours would I say actually made a difference?
Je commence, okay? Okay.
Je ne sais pas.
Je ne sais pas.
Je le sais.
Comme je le sais lire.
La conversation.
Asseyez-vous.
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 Oui.
Oui. Tous les jours. Fermez la bouche.
Si je pense beaucoup, je ne vais pas.
Okay. So it literally does work like that. If I think about it in English, then it will.
By the way, if you stick around to the end, then you can see the progress that I made at the end of that 30 days. But one of the first things that I knew I needed to do is to get conversation practice with French speakers. So I downloaded the iTalki app and I basically started speaking to native French speakers. What I would say with iTalki or any other language exchange app like that is, especially if you are undertaking a project like this where it's really intense and it's a short period of time, I would say in the beginning, you need to almost interview at least 3 people just to get a gauge of their style, discuss with them how they like to teach or how they like to deliver their sessions, and perhaps discuss with them the potential for you to tailor your own session and the way you would like it according to your needs. I found the best type of person is somebody that's going to allow you to speak about 70 to 80% of the time. Because I've actually had sessions with 3 different teachers during this whole 30-day period, I noticed that the one I had the most improvement with is the tutor that gave me heaps and heaps of homework after each session. So he would give me a Google Docs sheet with a bunch of questions and I'd have to fill in the blanks or translate sentences from English to French. He would also give me homework on Quizlet. Then he would also give me separate AI homework, which is hosted on iTalki. And I found that having to do that between the sessions, it was really engaging my brain. And I feel like it was hitting a different set of neural links in my mind that was helping me embed this new vocabulary and these new grammar rules and everything that we were learning in those sessions. So I would highly recommend that if you are planning to go on an intensive journey for a short period of time, then you need to have something that's going to make your brain work for its knowledge. Now, this advice might not apply to everyone, but for somebody like me, and if you are like me, right, I tend to make loads and loads of lists and not revisit them. So I made a Google Docs document, and one of my first tutors also made that for me. And I never ended up going back to revisit and revise those things. And then I also started a Google Sheets document where I had different tabs and I listed things. And to be honest, after a few days, I stopped revisiting that as well. Okay, so that was why I thought it was a waste of time for me. On the other hand, what did actually help is Anki flashcards. Okay, Anki flashcards, Quizlet flashcards, and the Quizlet AI questions and exercises. Because all I needed to do is log into Anki app or log into Quizlet, go into a particular set of flashcards and press start. The recall part of it, or choosing what to recall or choosing what to memorize, that was up to the app. It wasn't up to me. The app prompted me on what I should remember or what I should practice. The other thing that I think was a complete waste of my time, well, not complete waste of my time, but I shouldn't have spent as much time on it as I did, is I was using Claude quite a lot. Claude is like another version of ChatGPT, but I use Claude quite a lot to ask it questions about French grammar and how it works and how to incorporate these rules into sentences and phrases. But what tended to happen is that Claude would answer me and it would give me these paragraphs and paragraphs of answers and examples. But then obviously it's a lot to read. It's a really passive way of learning. So it's difficult to retain that theoretical knowledge and actually put it into practice. So I would say, yes, do that to learn the theory. But at the end of the day, it's not going to come out in your speech unless you practice it, put it into practice. So I wouldn't spend hours and hours on that, which I think is what I did. So I spent quite a bit of time and I wasted a significant portion of my time on this. I think when you're practicing your speech with someone or recording yourself saying something and then spotting the mistakes and then going back and trying to repeat the thing properly again.
Dans le cadre de mon travail, je collabore avec.
That's what will help you with your speech better and not necessarily speaking to a chatbot like Claude or ChatGPT, because you're not going to notice the mistakes you're going to make until you actually put things into practice. And the same thing goes with watching tons and tons of videos from, online French tutors like this one. I mean, she's a really good French teacher and I learned quite a lot from her. But again, watching and rewatching and watching random bunches and hours of videos from her or any other channel didn't actually help me improve my French speaking skills. The Anki flashcards was the best thing that I ever did. I think if you really go hard on these Anki flashcards, there is no way that you're not going to see a massive level of improvement. I went hard on these flashcards for like a 4-day period, and at the end of that 4 days I noticed that I had intuitive knowledge of what these present verb conjugations look like with different subjects. And so if you gave me a new verb, I'm probably 80 to 90% sure that I would get the present verb conjugations correct. So I think the final question that remains unanswered now before we hear my French after the 30 days is how many of those 96 hours did I use efficiently? When I say efficiency, I mean how many hours did I utilize on the things that I thought made the most difference? And as I explained, for me, the number one thing was the Anki flashcards. Number two, I'd say the Quizlet tests. And number three, it was the Google Docs homework. So you're going to be shocked when I tell you this, but you're going to have to first watch me speak some French before I give you that answer. Right, start with basics. Je m'appelle Sabrina. J'habite à Londres. J'apprends le français maintenant. J'irai en France en juillet avec mes enfants. Okay, so for this bit, because there's so much umming and ahhing, it's painfully and agonizingly slow. And I didn't want to edit this video because I wanted to be transparent and honest about what my progress has been like at the end of that 30 days. So if you want to watch it in real time, you're going to have to go to your video settings and actually slow this next bit down. Aussi j'ai en chaîne YouTube pour cuisiner. Oui. Aussi quand j'irai en France avec mes enfants, je voudrais ouvrir la culture française et je voudrais visiter Louvre et d'autres villes. Oui, et je faisais du shopping à Galerie Lafayette. Oui. C'est un grand défi. C'est un grand défi à apprendre français. Oui, c'est facile. Non, c'est facile. Oui. Most of that stuff that I just said, I have said before, right? It's not like the lines are rehearsed, but I've said this stuff before multiple times when I've been speaking to my tutor, when I've been learning my flashcards. And so some of these words and phrases or like pairings of words, like je voudrais, I've got that like pairing embedded in my mind. J'irai en français right? En juillet, okay? I've got that in my mind because I've talked about it a few times with my tutor. It's not bad to memorize words and phrases and sentences because at the end of the day, like I was watching this video of this professor saying how people learn languages, and one of the things that she was saying was if someone's studying English, it's good to learn these phrases and to memorize them and kind of embed them and know that these two words go together, or a sentence like this is used often, so I can say this, right? Just replace it with like, so if you wanted to say, I'm going to go to China in July, right? Or in August, because I said I'm going to go to France in July. So you can just replace the country and the month, and then you have you can have a different situation there. So I can say, j'irai en Chine en octobre. En octobre, oui. So I've just said, I will be going to China in October, okay? And then I can say, avec ma mère, right? Before I said, with my children, avec mes enfants. So now I can say, avec ma mère, which is with my mom. So like I'm learning how to put words and phrases and then replace them with contextual facts. That's the level that I'm at now. Now, if you asked me to have a completely spontaneous conversation with somebody that's French, I struggle with that. Okay, sometimes my tutor, like up to 3 days ago, he would ask me questions and he would tell me things, and there'll be words that I don't know in there. I would have to ask him to clarify what he means, or what does that word mean, and then he would, make a vocabulary list for me. So I'm not fluent. Dare I say that I'm conversational? I don't think I am conversational, but I am at the point where I could handle a simple, basic French conversation, like basic. I don't want to say I'm conversational because I don't think I'll be able to handle a spontaneous conversation about anything and everything, right? But I can convey what I probably want to say, or 70% of what I want to say, with maybe like hand actions and expressions and things to fill in the gaps for the vocabulary that I don't know. But